There are some folks who would say that I haven't covered the #1 cause of disability in my channel. There are folks that would say, the other side of that is, well, in terms of prevalence, maybe stroke is the #1 cause of disability. But the folks that say that it's not have some pretty good credentials, and there's a whole lot of them. It's the WHO. I'll cover what that is in just a minute. The WHO actually published a paper regarding this cause of disability. But first, an introduction. My name is Ford Brewer, F-O-R-D, Brewer, B-R-E-W-E-R. And this is the Prevention Channel. Basically, we look to provide the details, the science, the medicine, the biochemistry around staying healthy. Because staying healthy is a heck of a lot better than seeking a cure. So what is that mysterious #1 cause of disability in the world? It's depression. Depression is the leading cause of disability according to the WHO. It's also a major cause, in fact, I think maybe the #2 cause of death with suicide not in all ages, but I think in young people, 15 to 29, something like that. So let's get into a little bit more detail about what they're saying. First of all, 322 million people worldwide have depression. And depression's not just, I feel bad, or I'm in a bad mood. Depression is at least 2 weeks worth of decreased mood, neurovegetative signs. Neurovegetative signs would mean decreased or increased appetite, decreased or increased sleep, messed up sleep patterns, anhedonia. Anhedonia, let's break it down like we usually do. Hedonist is someone who enjoys every life, maybe too much. An means against, so someone with anhedonia just can't, there's nothing they can do. And when you do an interview for someone who has depression, that's one of the things you notice. You ask them, well, what do you do for fun? And, well, I used to do this and that, but I really don't do that anymore. So, but what about disability? The point is, even with mild depression, you lose your ability to function at top performance at work or in the home. 322 million people worldwide with this. That's 4.4% of the world's population. That's a lot of people. So in other words, 5%, that means 1 out of 20 people in the world at any one time are disabled. They're not performing well in the home. They're not performing well in the job. They're not performing well in their role because of depression. There's a report from the WHO, and I'll cover it in a future video. Depression and other common mental health disorders, global health estimates by the World Health Organization. Anxiety is #2. Anxiety includes PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, as well as just generalized anxiety. It's also very common, 3.6% of the population at 260 million people. A lot of folks. Again, you put those together, and that is, now there's a good bit of overlap, but if there were no overlap, it would be, what, 8%, almost 1 out of 10 people with significant disability associated with mental health disorders. Now, one of the questions I have, and well, actually, let me just state this fact before. They've been doing surveys on this in 2006 up to 2015, and saw a significant increased by 18.4% during that time period, 2005 to 2015. Depressive disorders were the single largest contributor to mental health issues globally. Let me go back to my point. One of the concerns I have on that is how much of this is increased detection of mental health disorders, increased detection of depression. For example, even in the United States, where, again, very, very aggressive health resources, many parts of Medicare, like Medicare Advantage, for example, is compensating physicians for looking for depressive disorder. Docs in the fee-for-service area don't really focus on it too much. They just look at what the patient complains of when they come in. There's a thing called PHQ-9. It's a mental health depression screen. 9 questions, and again, it's becoming one of the major screening tools. I plan to cover that a little bit later too in this series on depression and mental health as a disabler. So, again, although depression can hit anyone at any time, guess who gets it more often than, guess who gets it more often? Women. Women are 1.5 times more likely to have depression than men. So, not in no way a woman's disease, but again, something to be focused on. Half the number of the people in the world with depression live in Southeast Asia and the Western Pacific regions. And there is significant life situational triggers, relationship here, risk, poverty, unemployment, other life events, illness, death of loved ones. All of these things greatly increase the risk of someone developing depression. As I mentioned earlier, anxiety disorders are a big issue. They're almost as prevalent as depression. There's a significant overlap, depression with anxiety. Anxiety has increased 15% from 2005 to 2015. And again, I have the same concern. How much of that is anxiety that was there in 2005, but we've got better ways of screening. We've got increased reporting. So it's hard to tease that out right now. And in fact, that for most folks, that's somewhat of an academic argument. The real issue is you've got a heck of a lot of people out there in need, and there's a lot of work to be done. Anxiety disorders are now the 6th largest cause of disability, according to the WHO. So again, same sort of thing. Anxiety can decrease your ability to function within your role in society. And guess what? Anxiety is also more prevalent in women. Thank you for your interest.